Momoshiki's soul could have already ascended to another dimension, leaving Boruto with an empty karma, which is most likely harmless. Or is it? After the recent karma incident of chapter 24, this idea hit my mind and it makes a lot of sense due to a number of reasons. While the persistent absence of the otsutsuki has led me to believe this, but it might also have something to do with his final off-screen appearance. I'm talking about the code battle, which got Sasuke turned into a tree. Momoshiki seems to have possessed Boruto's body in this fight, and even after that, Boruto for some reasons had to run away from this fight, even after activating his karma. This gets a lot confusing at first, but I think there are a few possible ways to interpret what actually happened. Stay tuned cause it would also unveil to us one of the biggest plot twists in the story. Boruto's karma is empty and nobody was able to catch it. It all began with chapter 80, where Momoshiki lost his biggest gamble. Boruto, even after losing everything, wasn't willing to give up the control of his body, something that Momoshiki had already seen with his future side power. But just because his ability was inferior to that of an actual Shinjutsu, which in this case is the prescience, almost none of his major predictions came true. And this may be because he couldn't account for the outside factors. Like, even though he knew Sarada is immune from omnipotence, he couldn't predict her involvement in saving Boruto, which marked an end to all his golden plans. So that was the end of Momoshiki in part 1. The time skip never revealed to us what happened to him, just some hints here and there, which don't provide a perfect answer. But looking at how the writers are adding more to the flashback sequences, or simply the moments which felt complete at first, there will definitely be a flashback sequence of Momoshiki, which could have a large impact on the storyline. And here is how we get to the main source. Boruto mentioned in chapter 16 that it was when he activated the Karma Against code 2 years ago, when he felt something similar to Momoshiki's possession. It was a feeling where he was dead, yet conscious at the same time. But what needs to be noted is that he never explained what he feels while under Momoshiki's control. Now there can only be two things. Either he always felt this way while being under the control of the otsutsuki, and this feeling was kind of different than the previous takeovers due to some secret or big reasons. And to find out what that may be, we would need to understand what exactly went into this battle from the past when Sasuke and Boruto faced Code. So basically when the fight took place, Boruto did try to use the karma for the first time ever since he left the village, but unfortunately he apparently got possessed by Momoshiki based on the lifeless sensation that he described. Now here is where it gets a bit confusing. Code said to Boruto that he had fled without doing anything against him during that battle, but we know that he tried to activate the karma in order to fight him. So Code stating that he left without doing anything only points at Momoshiki running away from the site, cause Boruto himself wouldn't have escaped like that when his master was under danger. Now there can be one solid reason for Momoshiki to help his vessel escape. It might be the fear of the Clawgrimes, who are an amalgamation of the Ten Tails. The lore tells us that a Ten Tails turns into a god tree once it eats an otsutsuki. So looking at how Sasuke got turned into a tree from the bite of a Clawgrime, there was a good amount of chance for Boruto to get jabbed by one of these beings too, and that would have led to the Ten Tails turning into a god tree, absorbing the life force and chakra of the planet, meaning it would have led to an apocalypse. So in order to carry his personal agenda, which requires both the life of Boruto as well as the planet, Momoshiki may have ran away without doing anything, which is what has been recalled by Code in chapter 2. Now this sequence that I just mentioned could potentially be the extension of the flashback scene from chapter 5, where we got to see Sasuke and Code clashing, followed by a transition where Boruto can be seen standing at his tree. So whatever happened in between would get revealed to us in the next flashback sequence. And here comes something that might explain the fate of Momoshiki to us. We don't know exactly how much time it took between these two panels. Maybe Boruto got possessed for like days, where Momoshiki finally realized that he cannot do much with his body. It could have been through his personal future side power, which allowed him to seek timelines where he would have successfully taken control of Boruto's body. But unfortunately for him, there was no such future where he did hijack the consciousness of the vessel forever. And that may be why he never appeared in any of Koji's visions as well. Momoshiki never even tried to take control of Boruto's body, and that brings us to the biggest theory. What if the otsutsuki has actually left behind the body of Boruto, and the karma on his hand is nothing but an empty husk? This theory reframes Boruto's journey from a doomed vessel to a potential master of his own destiny. After getting to know about the futures from Kashin Koji, he naturally evolved into a singularity of fate, a person whose actions can dramatically interrupt the course of history. Momoshiki's karma acted as a twist in Boruto's destiny, but with the anchor of fate landing in his hand, he could have indirectly erased Momoshiki from his destiny without even realizing it. The whole idea comes from the resonance of karma, a situation where Boruto's karma activates on its own whenever Kawaki's karma gets turned on around him. Right now it's the most alarming thing in his life, cause it leads to the possibility of Momoshiki's emergence, which could really get out of hand if not handled well. Kawaki, fearing the same thing, wants to kill Boruto just to prevent Momoshiki from going too far. But when we look at the flash forward, it tells a different story, as not only is Boruto freely using the karma, but Kawaki has also given up on his goal to eliminate him. This shouldn't have been possible unless the threat of Momoshiki was actually around, and the fact that Boruto is using the karma without fear is just another major sign that the otsutsuki has somehow been handled. So how exactly did all of it happen? Well, that's where we come back to the soul ascension theory. To get a clear picture of what may have happened, let's understand how the karma skill could have become an independent echo mark for Boruto. I believe the karma doesn't need Momoshiki's presence to activate. The whole reason behind the resonance could simply be the fact that these seals sync like Bluetooth devices when they enter a shared frequency. The karma seems to operate as an autonomous process triggered by specific conditions like resonance or chakra depletion, rather than requiring constant oversight from the otsutsuki's soul. One of the key reasons this theory holds weight is that Momoshiki and Ishiki aren't even related, yet their karma still reacted to each other. This means it's the tech itself that resonates regardless of the host. On top of that, we have Boruto's unexpected evolution into an otsutsuki being. It not only merged Momoshiki into his body, rather he was also given a corner of his psyche to silently witness the reality from the eyes of the vessel. Now here comes the biggest foreshadowing, where Momoshiki might have himself predicted his final fate in the story. In chapter 72, he said to Boruto that he would suffer so much that he would desire to die and leave this world forever. And this self-destructive mindset would weaken him so much that Momoshiki would get the chance to steal his identity and rule his life forever. However, since it never happened, what if the same prediction that he made about Boruto is now happening to his own self? Well, if we go by that logic, a few things become pretty clear here. First off, Momoshiki is no longer the cunning monster that he once was. He is now a depressed demon who is too hopeless to even plan out something due to his strange and unprecedented fusion with a human being. This hopelessness has led him to go completely silent, and that's why Boruto right now is safe from him. Something that he didn't realize, cause he was too afraid to give the karma a chance after what had happened last time. Secondly, Momoshiki may be dwelling in the corner of his psyche where he could neither train to get more powerful nor use his future sight to make a difference in Boruto's life. His personal technique, which is not even a shinjutsu, cannot help him much when it comes to checking futures, simply because Boruto has a better external support who enlightens him about the futures with an actual power which is held by the gods. So a few things are clear by now. Momoshiki predicted his own fate while explaining the future of Boruto. He apparently no longer resides inside him, but his karma seal still remains, not as a parasitic tool, but as a husk. A powerful tool which is now devoid of the original host, something similar to what happened to Kawaki's karma after the death of Ishiki. He can still use the seal, but the resurrection of the original otsutsuki is almost impossible now. Now as for why I believe his soul could have ascended, let's examine the example of Shibai Otsutsuki. We know he transferred his consciousness to a higher plane, leaving his mortal corpse behind. Now imagine if this dead body of Shibai was in control of another entity. He would have gained all his power without actually becoming Shibai himself. So what if something similar is going on with Boruto and Momoshiki? It was never mentioned that you need to be an otsutsuki god to transfer your consciousness into a higher realm. I believe a normal otsutsuki like Momoshiki could do that, and that could be what he has done to get rid of Boruto's body. He now dwells in a similar higher dimension, as dwelling inside Boruto was no less than a living torture to him. The decision could have come to him after he realized that no matter what he does with the vessel's body, there will never be a way for him to actually attain what he wants, which is to obtain the chakra fruit of the planet by sacrificing an otsutsuki like Kawaki. It's a no-brainer that Kawaki in his limitless form would have went all out to finish Momoshiki. So even if he somehow gained the master control of Boruto's body, there were still hurdles in front of him that were impossible to overcome. So when you can't steal the life of your vessel, you leave their body instead, and that may be what Momoshiki did to let Boruto have the master control of his own destiny. But would this actually be the end of Momoshiki in the story, or is there a secret scheme that he's pulling by alienating his essence from Boruto? Well, the fact that he may have left Boruto's body behind pushes us into another deep philosophical aspect which might open the gates of the otsutsuki world to us. Instead of believing he somehow left him altogether, what if he instead altered his unrealistic goals into something more meaningful? Right now he can neither take control of Boruto's body, nor he can do anything to resurrect himself. So either he would have completely lost the will to live, which is why he has been silent spent all these years. Or it could be that his goals do not involve resurrection now. Instead, they could be something brand new altogether. And that very thing could be to protect his own clan from the wrath of Kawaki. Now here's how I think it might make sense. If Kawaki actually ends up having a power level similar to Ishiki, then it would be much easier for him to defeat the Otsutsuki clan, since Ishiki himself was feared by Momoshiki. Now Boruto without the Kama stands no chance against Kawaki, and Momoshiki knows after finishing off the shinobi world, his next move would be to go after the Otsutsuki clan. So in order to save his clan from Kawaki's wrath, Momoshiki might return from the deep meditation with a new purpose. It could be to protect his clan, and to successfully do that, he could allow Boruto to use the Kama without interfering with his consciousness. This explains how he's freely using the Kama seal in the future. Momoshiki might have given him the allowance to use all his karmic abilities just to stop Kawaki from going too far. Now as for the final theory of Momoshiki's mysterious disappearance, we have the possibility of soul erasure, and here is how I believe it could work. This theory says that the fusion of Momoshiki and Boruto's soul somehow contradicts the laws of quantum physics. There is something known as the no cloning theorem, which tells us that the quantum information is sacred. One can measure it, manipulate it, or move it, but cannot duplicate it. In other words, it states that it is impossible to create an exact copy of an arbitrary unknown quantum state. So assuming if Momoshiki's soul fully merged with Boruto, it would imply two different consciousnesses are sharing the same quantum state, which is impossible under the no cloning theorem. This simply means that one of them would eventually need to go, and looking at how Boruto has been present in the story while Momoshiki is nowhere to be seen, maybe he did get erased from the universe under the laws of quantum mechanics. Now a question which becomes a huge mystery here is that, will Boruto be able to replicate his techniques through the Kama seal, like the lava golem, phoenix, or other such elemental constructs? Well, what if I told you he could use the new form of chakra, which comes from the rotational energy of the planet, to fuel all these techniques? To find out more about this theory, tap on this video right now. Also make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.